Lagos, the nation's commercial capital. This is the News at 10. Live from the channel's television. Reporting tonight, Ayotunde Balogun.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, drama at the National Elections Results Collation Center in Abuja. As some political parties protest by INEC as PDP and Labour Party agents stage a walkout, vowing not to accept results by INEC for failing to transmit them electronically. Upset in Lagos as INEC declares Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi winner of the election in the state. APC presidential candidate Bola Tinubu calls for calm among residents, says it's democracy in action. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo calls on INEC to cancel elections that do not pass credibility and transparency tests, including where the polls were disrupted. And election observers raise concerns over the violence and other irregularities that trails the presidential and National Assembly elections. There's been some drama at the National Election Collation Center in Abuja as agents of some political parties earlier today walked out of the venue of the event, vowing not to accept the results being announced by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. They told journalists later that they took the decision because results that were being announced were not transmitted from the polling units as promised by the electoral umpire.
Chairman of INEC is seated and ready to go.
The INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, and other officials of the commission arrived at the National Collation Center for a second day of results collation.
We have a number of states that have been queued up to make their presentations.
The INEC chair calls on the state collation officers to present their reports, starting with Kwara.
The resident electoral commissioner of Kwara, you are welcome. Please introduce yourself and the scope. The state collation officer for the presidential election should introduce himself.
No sooner has the Kwara results been presented before an objection was raised by the PDP agent, Senator Dino Melaye.
We have, 987,647 registered voters in Ekiti, and 301,558 accredited. And since we have 301,558 accredited, the result as presented yesterday, APC had 201,494. If you subtract that from 301,558, what you have left is 100,064. Out of this 100,064, PDP scored 89,554. If you subtract that from the balance of 100,064, what is left is 10,510. And now, it was also recorded yesterday that Labour had 11,397, when the total number left is 10,510, leaving an over figure of 887. Apart from this 887 surplus, we have not calculated even the votes of other political parties.
Another PDP representative in the room and former governor of Imo State, Emeka Ihedioha, also has some reservations on the results so far released.
Mr. Chairman, we're talking about the transparency of this process, and we're talking about confidence in the process. I had cause, sir, to engage you yesterday. I had cause to speak to your national commissioners yesterday. I had cause to speak to them this morning about collation and abuse of the electoral process. Mr. Chairman, as we speak, in a number of states, efforts are still ongoing to undermine that process.
Other party agents also had one or two observations.
We made our observation and calculation based on your presentation of Ekiti state result. And we have also come with a similar figure as presented by the PDP. And as such, there is an obvious and overvoting.
This calculation and the position of my colleagues here, Action Alliance, have gone through that same figure and we've got the same similar position. By the Commission to really look at it and see if this state voting should be cancelled for overvoting.
The session then went on a break for a few hours. On resumption, the INEC chairman again called on state collation officers to present their reports.
Electoral Commissioner for Ogun State.
But Senator Melaye would have none of that, at least not until his concerns have been presented.
You have the power and capacity to review results here. And you cannot review results if there are no agitation of infractions from the political parties. And that is what we are saying.
Presentation of results then continued, but while that was going on, Senator Melaye and others who had one grievance or the other walked out of the room.
Okay.
They jointly briefed the media on their positions.
They cannot show us uploaded results because they know that what they are going to upload will be at variance with what they are presenting to Nigerians. So the electoral process has been rigged. INEC have rigged the 2023 elections, and we are completely dissociating ourselves from it, and we know what to do next.
We are challenging the process in which they are declaring the results. You understand? They have promised us that they are going to use beavers. Beavers are used, but the result of the beavers have not been uploaded.
It's not clear what the next line of action for Senator Dino Melaye and other aggrieved agents will be. For now, the collation of results for the presidential election continues at the center.
In the meantime, INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu has been explaining the collation process of the presidential election results from Ekiti State in response to the objections raised by some political parties. According to him, there was no overvoting in the election in Ekiti, and the figures as announced in Abuja tallied with those collated from the state.
For the election results presented for Ekiti, there was no overvoting. Overvoting means the total number of votes cast is higher than the number of accredited voters. The number of accredited voters is in this particular case higher than the total number of votes cast. My second response is, are the figures consistent from what transpired at the polling units and what was uploaded or ought to have been uploaded to the IRF portal? I am satisfied that the figures on this spreadsheet emanated from the process that transpired at the polling units. The polling units are the only places where citizens vote. Whatever you do thereafter is just collation of result. And we have provided the vote scored by each political party. However, if any political party believes that the figures they have from the hard copies of the results given by their polling agents at the level of collation, that the figures are inconsistent with what has been provided on the spreadsheet that we projected yesterday, I would like that political party to forward the information to the Commission so that we can speak on the basis of facts. I like the suggestion made that the Commission has power under the Electoral Act to review results, but that power is contingent upon one procedure. the process has to be concluded first before you can then talk about power to review. I want to assure political parties that any evidence that you have of any alleged wrongdoing at any level of the process, whether it's at the polling unit or at collation level, please forward this information. And I promise you, as soon as the process is concluded, we'll then do the review as provided by law.
A quick reminder that at the National Elections Coalition Center in Abuja, right as we speak, they have just called for a timeout, but definitely we will be getting back to them much later. Let's move on. And earlier today, there was what could be described as an upset in Lagos when the State Collation Officer of the Independent National Electoral Commission in Lagos announced the presidential election results for Lagos State. And much to the surprise of many, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, was announced as the winner.
The distribution of the votes according 3069. AA 498. 498. AAC 1597. 1597. ADC 5789. 5789. ADP 2439. 2439. APC 572606. 572606. APGA 2316. 2316. APM 709. 709. APP 371. 371. BP 1837. 1837. LP 582 454. 582 454. NNPP 8442. NNPP 8442. NRM 609. 609. PDP 75750. 75750. PRP 1120. 1120. SDP 772. 772. YPP 1109. 1109. ZLP 9964. 9964. Total valid votes 1271451. 1271451. Rejected votes 64278. 64278. Total votes cast 1335729. 1335729. Thank you very much. We are going to copy this and the party agents will sign, and then we can close the office.
Meanwhile, the APC presidential candidate, Senator Bola Tinubu, is appealing to Lagosians to be calm and eschew any act that can lead to breakdown of law and order. In a statement, Senator Tinubu said the outcome of the election in Lagos, where the Labour Party won the presidential election, should not be a source of provocation. According to him, the beauty of democracy is that people have a right to vote for the candidate of their choice, and as a Democrat, he is bound to accept the outcome of any election. Now, the former governor of Lagos State condemned any form of violence against peoples of any ethnic group in Lagos following the announcement of the election result. In part two, after the break, and election observers raise concerns over the violence and other irregularities that trailed the presidential and National Assembly elections. To join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television. A reminder of our main stories. Drama at the National Elections Results Collation Center in Abuja. Some political parties protest process by INEC as PDP and Labour Party agents stage a walkout, vowing not to accept results by INEC for failing to transmit them electronically. Upset in Lagos as INEC declares Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi winner of the election in the state. APC presidential candidate Bola Tinubu calls for calm among residents, says it's democracy in action. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo calls on INEC to cancel elections that do not pass credibility and transparency tests, including where the polls were disrupted. And election observers raise concerns over the violence and other irregularities that trailed the presidential and National Assembly elections. Some residents of Kana local government area of Rivers State have staged a peaceful protest in Bori, the headquarters of the local government area. The protest, which took place in front of the INEC Collation Center, saw aggrieved indigents waving tree branches and chanting solidarity songs while demanding that their votes must count. The National Peace Committee have commended Nigerians for turning out en masse to vote in the February the 25th general elections. Now, the NPC says it has observed the dissatisfaction among voters who have braved all harsh weather elements to perform their civic duties. It has appealed to INEC to heed to the grievances being expressed in order to take the necessary steps to investigate all allegations of infractions and to ensure that justice is clearly done to all citizens who went out to vote. It also appealed to the electoral umpire, INEC, to take all the time it requires to ensure that it delivers results that inspire the confidence of the people and meet tested international standards. Meanwhile, former President Olusegun Obasanjo has called on INEC to cancel elections that do not pass the credibility and transparency test, including where the polls were disrupted. Chief Obasanjo, who was speaking in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, noted that as far as the election issues are concerned, the president has proved beyond reasonable doubt that he will want to leave a legacy of free, fair, transparent and credible elections. He therefore urged President Muhammadu Buhari not to listen to anyone who tells him to ignore the issues arising from the elections.
On many occasions in the past, I have not hesitated to point out lacuna in the action of the president and his government. But as far as the election issues that we are now facing are concerned, the president has proved beyond reasonable doubt that he will want to leave a legacy of free, fair, transparent, and credible elections. Until last Saturday night, February 25th, 2023, the good and noble plan and preparation for the elections seem to be going well. For the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, a lot of money was spent to introduce bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS, and the server for immediate transmission of results from polling units. It is no secret that INEC officials at operational level have been allegedly compromised to make what should have worked not work and to revert to manual transmission of results, which is manipulated and the results doctored. The chairman of INEC may claim ignorance, but he cannot fold his hands and do nothing when he knows that election process has been corrupted and most of the results that are brought outside BVAS and server are not true reflection of the will of Nigerians who have made their individual choice.
A senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, has called on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to use credible personnel for the remaining polls. In an interview with our judiciary correspondent, Shola Shuyele, Mr. Falana also called on INEC to ensure the prosecution of all electoral offenders as soon as possible.
I've not been impressed by the very disappointing outing on the part of the Independent National Electoral Commission. Nigerians had been assured that we're going to have a credible election, a peaceful election, whereby votes will count. Regrettably, there was a free reign of thuggery. The thugs took over in many places. There was a compromise on the part of the security forces. There was a compromise on the part of some INEC chiefs. There was impunity on the part of some governors. I do hope that we'll be able to draw sufficient lessons from the exercise. As our courts will say, there has been substantial compliance with the Electoral Act, because you could isolate where you have pockets of illegality, pockets of violence. I expect INEC to go back to the drawing table, review the management of the elections, the role of ad hoc staff, and ensure that all those who have been arrested by the police, by other security agencies for disrupting the election, for announcing fake results, or for forging results, and for deliberately preventing people to vote, must be charged before the relevant courts. as soon as possible, so that those who are going to manage the next election will know that it's not going to be business as usual.
International election observers have expressed concerns over the violence that erupted in some parts of the country during the presidential and National Assembly elections. Observer missions from the African Union, ECOWAS, the Commonwealth, and European Union made the observation during their separate briefings in Abuja. They identified other issues like late deployment of electoral materials and snatching of ballot boxes.
Former presidents of some African countries are leading different international observer missions for the 2023 presidential and National Assembly elections. The missions include ECOWAS, the African Union, and the Commonwealth.
Welcome.
The missions are holding a joint media briefing to present their preliminary findings from the exercise.
The visible presence of security agents discharging their duties in accordance with the provisions of the law in some polling units. However, they were inadequate. The professional conduct of polling officials, as well as some ad hoc staff who demonstrated inadequate knowledge of their duties, especially with the voting materials.
Election procedures designated 8:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. as the voting time. 6 hours do not provide sufficient voting time frame considering the huge voter population in Nigeria, the largest democracy in Africa.
The missions have their recommendations.
And to conclude, as the results process continues, let me end by reiterating the desire that all Nigerians, especially the candidates who contested elections, continue to uphold their pre-election commitment to peace. The group strongly encourages all Nigerians to exercise patience to allow INEC and its staff across the country to conclude the results process effectively and peacefully.
The reports are similar to the findings of the European Union, the National Democratic Institute, and the International Republican Institute.
Despite the much-needed reforms from the Electoral Act of 2022, the elections still fell well short of Nigerians' legitimate and reasonable expectations. Logistical challenges and unchecked multiple incidents of political violence overshadowed the electoral process and impeded a substantial number of voters from participating.
Insecurity prevented INEC from accessing some areas, and it suffered attacks on its premises and personnel, including just days before polling. This hindered preparations in affected areas and instilled fear in voters. Overall, stakeholders expressed confidence in INEC's independence and professionalism and voter information efforts earlier in the process. However, there was a lack of efficient planning during critical stages of the electoral process, as well as a lack of transparency.
Nevertheless, the missions commend Nigerians for coming out to participate in the exercise, while urging the candidates to respect the outcome of the process or seek legal redress where they feel aggrieved.
Still ahead on the news at 10, police caution presidential candidates against inflaming passion as the collation of presidential election results continues. Please join us again. Welcome back. It's still the news at 10. And right about now, let's head live to the National Elections Coalition Center in Abuja, where our correspondent Gloria Umezuke is standing by to give us a situation update. Gloria, over to you.
Thank you, Ayo. Right here at the International Conference Center, we just heard announcements of results, from Nasarawa State, and so far we've had results from about 13 states, have been announced by the chief returning officer, and many recs will be expected to arrive for the continuation of the collation by tomorrow, at least midday of Tuesday. And so we expect that many of these things that has happened today, including counter arguments, from party agents and all of these, we expect that they would begin to have a respite by tomorrow, because the INEC chairman has promised that he will address all of these things by midday tomorrow. In any case, we also know that parties, about 10 of them, walked out from this particular venue, and before then they expressed their disenchantment and all of that to the INEC chairman, who took time patiently listening to them, and of course decided that the process must continue. However, so these dissenting voices, obviously, we would hear a lot of what INEC would have to say regarding this, addressing this rather squarely. The predominant demand has been that INEC ensure that the results at the polling unit level be uploaded to the IREV portal for transparency. But as the collation secretariat adjourns till tomorrow, the INEC chairman has also given that assurance, and that's what we take away from here. We also know that there'll be many more recs expected today, or rather tomorrow by midday, and which will bring the process to a very, almost a conclusive period. So we expect that maybe give or take tomorrow or day after, we will see the conclusion of this particular exercise, the 2023 elections.
All right, Gloria, but just a quick one. Judging from what happened, I mean, talking about the party agents who staged a walkout and from all the issues that arose from that, did you get a sense of what the INEC chairman and, of course, his team, perhaps what they would have felt was the main reason for such an action? And how confident are you that those issues raised will definitely be looked at when they convene again tomorrow?
Precisely all of these started about Saturday evening, Sunday morning. We started to see that the IREV portal had failed. And so many party agents and even Nigerians across the board were very, very surprised at this and expressed shock. As a matter of fact, we got a lot of press conferences and press releases stating this categorically. And so what we saw play out today was just, another set of people voicing out what had been in the public, for a very long time. And so the INEC chairman listened to each of the party agents talk about how really they would love to see transparency entrenched, and to express themselves regarding the veracity of the process, and asking the INEC chairman that he must ensure that the results from the polling unit level be uploaded to the IREV portal. And this is what they say is quintessential to see a very smooth and transparent process. The INEC actually, promised Nigerians all along that the IREV will be functional. So the functionality of this is really at the center of this debate. And so he has promised that by tomorrow, he's going to ensure that he addresses all of these concerns.
All right, many thanks, Gloria Mizuki, for that situation update from the National Elections Coalition Center in Abuja. We'll definitely be keeping tabs with that one as it unfolds. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you, Ayo.
And staying with the 2023 general elections, the Nigeria police is calling on all presidential candidates to caution their supporters against taking laws into their hands, as Nigerians await the final results of the presidential and National Assembly elections, desist from mounting undue pressure on the electoral process.
The Nigeria Police Force, having assessed the trend of scaled-up expectations and psychological projections on the ongoing electoral process vis-à-vis collation of results, charges all presidential candidates as leading and respected figures in their respective political parties to seize the opportunity of this waiting period to emphasize the rule of law, respect for Constitution, and constituted authority amongst their supporters, as we all owe a duty to ensure that the nation does not fall into anarchy on the basis of interest and sentiment. The police, therefore, encourage presidential candidates to charge their supporters to uphold the tenets of the peace accord recently signed for the smooth conduct and conclusion of the 2023 general elections.
Contrary to some reports making the rounds in some quarters and social media, Lagos State has been relatively peaceful after the conduct of the 2023 general elections. Our correspondent, Olumide Macaulay, reports that the Lagos Police Command are reassuring residents of their safety after the polls as they conducted an air surveillance operation over the state.
It's a short trip from the Lagos Police Command to the airfield. And once on board, the helicopter takes to the skies. Not for the squeamish, but this chopper flight isn't through choppy conditions. The skies are clear, visibility perfect for surveillance, as the police survey the city below for any signs of trouble after the elections. The flight plan takes us over Mushin, Amuwodofin, Festac, Ojo, Badagry, Idimu, Oshodi, and Ikeja. And this bird's eye view reveals the state of security on the ground. As the pilots bring the chopper down with a steady hand, the Deputy Commissioner of Police Administration disembarks and lays to rest any fears of disruption of peace in Lagos State after the polls.
With us, Lagos is calm, and the police and other security agencies have not gone to sleep. We will continue to do everything we can under the leadership of the IG and the Command CP to ensure that Lagosians have their peace. The elections have come and gone, and will return back to life as normal. They have nothing to worry about. All is well. Lagosians can go to sleep, rest assured that the police and the other security services are doing their best to secure them. So no cause for alarm.
Disembarking from the police helicopter on an air surveillance trip, which helicopter happens to be a Bell 412, used massively on operations such as this across the world, we found in this 45 nautical mile trip that was about 200 to 600 feet above sea level that the areas that we traversed over, including Oshodi, Amuwodofin, Ojo, Badagry, we found that those places were peaceful and nothing to report out of the ordinary as far as security is concerned, just as the police have been assuring the people of Lagos State. Reporting from the police hangar at the Lagos airport, Olumide Macaulay, Channels Television News.
And to Rivers State, where police have arrested 4 people in connection with electoral malpractice during Saturday's election in the state. This follows a trending video which went viral on social media on Saturday. In the video, some thugs were seen snatching ballot boxes and other electoral materials at a polling unit believed to be in Omuma local government area of the state, after which they left in a police van. Acknowledging the said video, the Public Relations Officer of the command, Grace Iringe Koko, in a statement confirmed that they were aware of the situation and added that the policemen in the video had been arrested. The police said the pickup van in the trending video has also been impounded for thorough investigation. As results for the presidential and National Assembly election trickle in for final collation at the National Collation Center in Abuja, Nigerians are watching the final figures keenly. Some residents of Lagos have been assessing the election process, saying the process was relatively calm. Others are calling for some new measures ahead of the governorship election coming up on March the 11th. Our correspondent Dominic Iwiwu reports.
With the end of voting for the presidential and National Assembly elections across the nation, Nigerians are paying close attention to the results collation process. As may be expected, citizens are gradually going around with their usual daily activities, with some reserved apprehension as many still thread with caution. Some share their views of the electioneering process, pointing out some of their observations.
So one would expect after the elections, there ought not to be any delay in transmitting to the collection center, to the headquarters. Because the delay in doing all these things and taking it there, that's what creates doubt. It creates doubt, like we're saying now. And that's what it's for. The station where there's delay in after the completion of election, great delay in the announcement. That's the main issue. It creates suspicion. It creates stories. It creates real stories.
Well, INEC had 4 years from the last election, which was 2019, till 2023, and we're still having the usual every 4 years flaws of this is not working, that is not working. I remember watching, I think it was still Channels News, and some of the youths, most of the first-time voters had to say they had to share their hotspots with the INEC officials because the beavers was not working and all of that. So I think we can really do better. 62 years.
Residents of Lagos share their opinion ahead of the governorship election in March.
INEC should not just look down and focus their attention on some areas when it comes to security-wise. I feel INEC should be able to touch every places.
For some senior citizens, it's time for a change so that the future for younger generations can be guaranteed.
Well, I'm not even interested in other elections. Let them conclude this one and let Nigerian youths, the youths that their future is being shortchanged and toyed with, let them sort it out first. The votes finished about almost 48 hours now, and we are toying with the destiny of a people. With all the humongous resources God placed on this country is one of the poorest in the world now.
Nigerians are eagerly waiting for the results of the presidential and National Assembly elections as they come in at the National Coalition Center in Abuja, and the states with hopes that peace will be maintained at the end of the process. Dominic Iwiwu, Channels Television News.
Okay. While the final results of the elections are still being awaited, some citizens say they are full of expectations from the incoming government. They are now calling for urgent steps that will tackle issues of economic instability, insecurity, and unemployment, among others. This report takes a look at the expectations of Nigerians for the next president.
The hustle and bustle in the commercial nerve center of Nigeria is yet to return after the presidential and National Assembly elections. At Alausa, workers are trickling into the secretariat to resume work with some expectation that the president-elect to emerge will meet the yearnings of the people.
The first thing is insecurity, because one cannot travel with confidence right now, and this is affecting the people. Then the issue of our economy, which is the greatest one that is going on right now. The economy is too bad.
Tackle the electricity, tackle the manpower, tackle these economic issues, even the cash crunch. There are so many measures that can be done. Nigeria needs a new government that will touch the status quo, touch the grassroots, so that the blessing of the nation will spread across all parts of the country.
Traders in Ikeja are yet to return to their shops as well. Residents say all they want is a united country that will prioritize education and development for the youth.
What Nigerians are praying for is great change, not just ordinary change like the slogan we used to have. We want great change, or even a greater change. You know, things, because if you look at it, things are not actually working. You know, we live in a jungle where everybody just does what he likes. So we expect great change.
We need stability in ethnicity. We don't want a kind of it's me, Hausa, it's Igbo. No, we want unification in Nigeria.
We want unity in Nigeria. And the next president should take the consensus of that. We are all Nigerians. He is the president of Nigeria. He's not the president of one ethnic.
Number one thing that the president that is coming in need to do is to intervene in the issue of unemployment in Nigeria, so that most youth that are graduate need to get employed, and those that need to go for craft jobs or mining jobs, they need to be equipped, and developing human capital.
From Ikeja to Maryland and Ojota area of Lagos, the people call for a leader with integrity that will rule without fear or favor.
So we need a president that can move us out of that pit, at least to a place that is safer as a country.
Whoever comes in, first and foremost, it must be somebody with an impeccable character, somebody that will look up to, that has integrity, that say, look, this is a spade, and it will always be a spade. Take it from Karan Namoda to the Atlantic Ocean. It must be a spade. It wouldn't change, no matter the weather.
Nigerians are expecting that the president-elect address the issues of insecurity and economic growth that will leave a positive impact in the lives of the people.
Our results for the presidential election in Nasarawa State have already been confirmed. And of course, the Labour Party presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, polled 191,361 votes to win in Nasarawa State. Well, the APC, which has Bola Tinubu as a presidential candidate, polled 172,922 votes. The NNPP scored 12,715 votes, while the PDP scored 147,093 votes. A 2-year-old girl died hours after being rescued by the Italian Coast Guard on Sunday, along with dozens of other migrants after their boat capsized near the Mediterranean island of Lampedusa, according to Italian news reports. Well, Simon Pusey has more on this in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. There are fears that more than 100 people, including children, have died after their boat sank in rough seas off southern Italy. At least 62 migrants are confirmed to have died, with 12 children said to be among the victims, including a baby. The vessel, thought to have carried some 200 people, broke apart while trying to land near Crotone on Sunday. People from Afghanistan, Pakistan, Somalia, Syria, Iraq and Iran were said to be on board the boat. Israeli settlers have attacked Palestinian homes in Hawara near the occupied West Bank city of Nablus after a Palestinian gunman killed 2 Israeli brothers. Video shows settlers blocking a street in Hawara, lighting fires and throwing stones toward Palestinian homes. One Palestinian was killed during the attacks by the settlers. There was no immediate claim of responsibility for the shooting of the Israeli brothers, which came as Israel and Palestinian officials met in Jordan to discuss ways of lowering tensions. Huge rallies have been held in several Mexican cities against what protesters say are government attempts to undermine the electoral authorities.
Veracruz, Villahermosa, Washington.
The biggest was in Mexico City, where organizers say 500,000 people marched on the city's main plaza. The local government put the number at 90,000. This time-lapse video showing the scale of the protests. Lawmakers last week voted to slash the budget of the National Electoral Institute and cut its staffing. Opponents described the vote as an attack on democracy itself, pressing the Supreme Court to overturn them as unconstitutional. Russia's defense ministry say that joint naval exercises with Russian, Chinese and South African ships had come to an end in the Indian Ocean. The drills, codenamed Mosi 2, started on February the 17th. They simulated firing at sea mines using dummy targets. Russian, Chinese and South African ships also took part in training exercises on how to free people held hostage on a seized vessel and to carry out a sea rescue operation. Twitter has laid off at least 200 staff in another round of cuts. That's according to reports in the New York Times. It said the tech giant had cut 10% of its current workforce, which estimated at 2,000 people. This is the latest round of job losses at Twitter since Chief Executive Elon Musk sacked about 50% of its 7,500 employees when he took over in October. Thousands of teddy bears and other stuffed toys have been thrown onto the pitch on Sunday during a match in Istanbul between Besiktas and Antalyaspor as a donation to Turkey's child quake survivors. The event was organised by Besiktas fans as part of a relief effort. Strong earthquakes, which began on February the 6th, have struck both Turkey and neighbouring Syria, killing more than 50,000 people. That's according to the latest figures released on Friday. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon. Well, a quick reminder again at the presidential elections result for Nasarawa State, where Peter Obi of the Labour Party has emerged winner, scoring 191,361 votes there in Nasarawa State. His closest challenger, Senator Bola Tinubu of the APC, polled 172,922 votes. The PDP, with Alhaji Atiku Abubakar as presidential candidate, scored 147,093 votes. And the main news again. It was all drama at the National Elections Results Collation Center in Abuja today as some political parties protested the results collation by INEC as PDP and Labour Party agents staged a walkout and vowed not to accept results announced by the electoral umpire for transmission of the results electronically. And we also told you of the upset in Lagos as INEC declared the Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi winner of the election in Lagos State. And that's the news at 10. Many thanks for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde Balogun. The 2023 Verdict Studios continues in a moment. Stay with us.